What's going on, my guys? Welcome back to my channel. I am Garrett with Game by the Beach. Very excited to be here with you today, joined with my man Klaus. How we doing, dude?
We're so good. We're so good. I've been looking forward to this moment for a long time, and I can't wait. Thanks for having me on the channel, man. Let's go.
I'm hyped. I'm hyped. So if you guys have not been aware, we're doing a tier list for all units in Rush Royale, okay? We have done commons, we have done rares, we have done epics, grinding through these bottom tier cards, and we have finally made it to the legendaries, to where we're probably going to be filling up, definitely going to be filling up the top of our tier list. And let's jump right into it, okay? Part 1 was on my channel. Part 2 and 3 were on his channel. Definitely go and check those out. Subscribe while you're over there if you haven't already. But let's go right away. So first on the list, you guys can follow along. We're just doing it right down the list on your phone in your game. Bruiser. Gosh, there's going to be so many discussions with all of these cards. And Bruiser, that's a card that hid from me for a long time. I couldn't find it for a long time. But realistically, it's a legendary. So it's harder to get him. It's harder to level him up. He's got no talents. He's really only useful in like a very specific type of deck. What do you think? Do you have him?
I do now. Yeah. I saw we had discussions about that. I couldn't get Blade Dancer to save my life. And I finally did, by the way. Finally did.
Good.
And you couldn't find Bruiser. Have you found him yet?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good.
He's level 8 for me. I don't really use him. You know, he's pretty much good in like Shaman spam where I don't Shaman. So
yeah,
kind of is what it is. Where do you think this guy belongs? He's kind of an interesting one. Definitely not a top tier legendary.
No. And I think that I want to set this aside first and say, guys, there's 23 legendaries or however many there are. So probably gonna have to break this into 2 parts. Yep. And we'll be covering the first half or whatever. But it's also mentionable that you can get all of these, except for maybe the last 3, free to play. You can do it. Just it's hard. So we're not going to consider the fact that it's a legendary, it's hard to get, so it's lower in the tier. That's not really how I want to think of it. I want to think of it as, is that card better than the other cards? And with that in mind, Bruiser is one of the best just standalone damage dealers by himself. Like if he's just by himself, if he's the lone warrior, if he's the Leonidas, he's probably one of the better ones. That being said, there are others that are better because you do have a support team of cards at your disposal. So, man, I mean, I'm leaning toward like looking at what we have in B, right?
The suspense is killing me, man. Come on.
What?
The suspense.
I'm sorry. Okay. I'm looking at what we have in B. We have Executioner, which has its place in the best deck in the game right now. And we have Mime, which is incredibly versatile.
Yep.
So I'm wondering if it's not below B, even though Bruiser starts with a B, so it should be in B.
Ooh. I'm with you. I was looking at like C or B. Okay. Bruiser, I think the fact that Executioner is in the best deck in the game gives it a leg up. The fact that Mime, like you said, is so versatile, Mime is in so many different decks, gives it a leg up. But if I look at C, like Bruiser and Gargoyle, dude, oh my God, I love it. Bruiser, is it better than Sharpshooter and Gargoyle? I can win more games with Gargoyle than Bruiser.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's fitting in C. I think Bruiser does a little bit more damage, has a little bit more application than like Hunter and Rogue now. Definitely more than Ivy or Reaper, Vampire. I think C is a good spot to start off with one of the, not one of the worst legendaries, but not a top tier legendary.
Sure. And I think also we need to remember that C is literally in the middle. Right.
Yep.
So,
well, yeah.
It at least visually on my screen, it's in the middle roughly. And
top is just for one lone card though. So
right. So it's supposed to be weighted down toward the lower end a little bit. And C is a hard one because all the cards in C have so much, they're so different, right? Yeah, it's crazy. But I do think that Bruiser is a solid C.
All right, let's throw it in here. Bruiser. I don't have any emotional connection to Bruiser, so I don't really care where he goes. But the next one, Blade Dancer. Here's an interesting one. Blade Dancer. One of my biggest criticisms with Blade Dancer for a long time was that it took so much effort to set up, and then you would never output enough damage to compete with like a Inquisitor deck or something like that. That's flipped since then. Blade Dancer is very, very strong. Competes at the top with Corsair. Competes at the top with Cultist. Probably beats most Inquisitor decks at this point. Definitely one of the best damage dealers in the game. I mean, I'm looking and it's got to be, oh man, it's got to be, I mean, I'm looking at around A. It's around A. Could there be an argument for it being better than A? Could there be an argument for being it worse than A? What do you think?
That was really well put. So look, I have a level 11 cultist with 1700 crit. Okay. I'm mid-tier now, although my cultist is very strong. And I beat, unless I'm going up with somebody who has a massive crit advantage, I can still beat level 11 Blade Dancers regularly with cultist. Therefore, I don't think Blade Dancer is an S. I think it's a solid A.
Okay. I mean, the only other thing that I would mention is that Blade Dancer, it's one of the best damage dealers for PvP. And it's realistically maybe the best damage dealer for co-op as well. So yeah, I think at a minimum A, but there is a case for S. There is a case. We want to put him at A, her at A for now. And if it feels too low, we move her up.
Tentative A, I think, because I think there should be at least 2 or 3 cards in S. And if there isn't at the end of this, then we can always move her up.
I like it. Okay. On to Boreas. Boreas, one of the first legendaries that you get very early on. Another card that's very versatile, works well with Hex, works well in spam decks. You see Boreas all the way up through the ladder. I mean, Boreas Shaman is up over 7,000 trophies, and it's been there for a long time. I mean, it's one of the best damage dealers by far. I don't think it's on the same level as Blade Dancer at this point in time, but I don't think it deserves to go any lower than B.
I agree. And there's a very specific reason for that, because if you look at what's in B right now, we got Mime, we got Executioner. And then if you look at C, Cold Mage, Priestess, Sharpshooter. I mean,
Sharpshooter.
Gargoyle. I
mean, that card there.
Why is that even there? Right. So Boreas is clearly, and then of course, Bruiser is in C. So Boreas is by far better than Bruiser, but it's not better than Blade Dancer. So I think Boreas is a solid B.
Yeah, looking at A, I mean, Chemist and Bombardier can be in, and Portal Keeper could be in like any deck, to where Boreas has its moments. I think that's fair to be below A, put it in B.
Potentially going up if Blade Dancer goes up.
Yeah, fair.
Maybe.
Oh, here's an interesting one here. Corsair. I actually just made a video on Corsair, but whenever this video goes out, it's probably like a week ago. Corsair, the strongest card if at max level. However, if it's not at max level, you can't get past wave 1. Like, it's so bad. So very, very interesting. I've never really been able to make it work. And when I say I've never made it work. Mine's level 8. Okay. So it's kind of hard to put somewhere. Again, it can't really be below B, just because it's like the best card if it's leveled up. But I have a hard time putting it, I don't know, on the same level as Chemist and Bombardier. That's good always. I mean, maybe we're looking at Chemist and Bombardier moving up the way we're chatting. I don't know.
I mean, yeah, I'm always down for making adjustments. But here, look. So this is very similar to the argument that we gave for Zealot, right? Zealot was so good, and we kept talking about it, and it got worse and worse and worse, and ended up in the D category. So Corsair kind of follows that same logic, right? Like so good in specific situations, or upgraded all the way, or whatever. But really, for the average Joe, I'm never going to use Corsair. Never.
No,
I'm never going to do it unless there's like talents released and stuff, which could happen. So I'm definitely not seeing Corsair in the A category, and I'm honestly having a hard time seeing Corsair in the B category too.
Oh my gosh! Wow, really? Oof.
I am again, and it's just because I've had no luck with him. Neither of you. I think the average Joe isn't going to have any luck with Corsair.
It's so tough. It's so tough because if you go up against a good Corsair deck, you don't stand a chance.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, even though I can't make him work, gosh, I mean, I'd still want to put him in A or B. It can't be C. It's better than Boreas. It's so tough.
It's better than Bruiser overall.
It's definitely better than Bruiser.
So I can relent. I can give that. I'm gonna say B. And again,
okay,
if you're smart enough and good enough to have 3,000 crit and max Corsair, you're not going to care about what we have to say.
It's
just like the Zealot people, right? So I think for the average Joe, Corsair is good. If you want to upgrade him and play with him, he'll get even better. He has that potential of becoming an S tier type, but just not for most people.
I think I'm going to put him in between here. I think I got to put him A, B. I have to, just for the sake of sanity, and people are going to come. I know that one. People are coming at my throat with me putting it in B. So I'm going to put him in between. But I think we made a pretty good case here for why it's getting put to where it is.
Right. And remember, that's why you brought me here, right? You're representing the whales and dolphins or whatever, and I'm representing the spuds, right? That's what and that's my perspective on Corsair. I like him. I think he's great. I think he's been really good, and I can never see myself taking advantage of him, and I think that's true for most people.
All right, let's just leave him in the dust here. On to the next one.
Move on before the comments destroys us both.
Cultist. The Cultist. I mean, does he need an introduction? There's a thing going around to change the name of our game to Cultist Royale, okay? Because Rush Royale just ain't doing it anymore. It's Cultist Royale. Best damage dealer in the game right now. Very, very easy to play. I mean, mine's a level 9 and I get to 7K with my hands behind my back. I'm just playing with my nose. It's got to be at a minimum S. Is it S? Is it S plus? It's the best damage dealer in the game.
Okay, okay. You before we even started this, you alluded to an obvious S plus.
Yep.
And it's not Cultist.
Are you asking me?
I'm asking you.
I don't know.
What? Perfect. Now I have no idea what you were thinking. So the reason why, okay, yes, Cultist is an easy S.
Okay.
Period. Right?
Yeah.
The reason why best damage dealer you can win is not hard to get, and he's good even at like lower levels. Problem though is that he gets totally wrecked by Bedlam. Game over. If you get Bedlam, game over. If he doesn't destroy him in time, it's done. You're done. This is something I've struggled with. I don't know if there's someone better than Cultist, but I don't think Cultist is the perfect card, which would be S plus.
The only one that would be better is Corsair at high level. But I think Cultist, you can make almost 7K trophies with a level 7 Cultist. It's the best damage dealer in the game. It's easy to use. You can win dungeons with it. You can play on PvP. If you queue into 10 games today in a row, 9 of them are going to be Cultist. It's got to be S plus. Plus.
Fair. Okay. So if Cultist is S plus, then Blade Dancer is S and Corsair is A. We got to move all those up.
Yeah, you think?
Yeah. If
I'm okay with it.
If you were thinking, if I was thinking there was this mysterious legendary, I don't know that I don't understand that's S plus, but if you were thinking cultist is S plus, then I think we need to readjust a little bit.
I'm curious what card you would have thought is the mysterious one. I'm interested. No.
Minotaur.
Nope. All right, I'm gonna move it up. So we're gonna adjust our board here. We're gonna get cultist up at S plus. We're gonna move Blade Dancer to S. And we're going to move Corsair to A.
AS.
Okay. And again, Chemist and Bombardier, maybe it's too low. But let's leave it for now. Let's leave that for now.
Yes, because if Cultist is in a whole realm of its own and S plus, then S should still be extremely rare.
Yep. Agreed. Yep. On to the next one. Another S plus. Nope.
Oh yeah.
Demon Hunter, our man, our myth, our legend. Demon Hunter, guys, if you play Demon Hunter on the ladder and you win, go outside, go to the grocery store, go to the convenience store, buy yourself a lottery ticket. Okay. Put your entire life savings into that lottery ticket. And then just go home and take a nap because you're going to win the lottery. Guys, what is it? Demon Hunter is just terrible. I don't even have anything clever to say about it. It just doesn't work. It used to be great. Okay. We're not talking about how good cards used to be. We're talking about how good are they today. And it stinks. I've tried dungeons. It's bad. I've tried PvP. PvP is bad. And just for all good golly goodness, guys, we're putting that at Z. Okay. That card is so stinky. It's got to go at the bottom of our list right here. Is it a little bit low? Yeah, maybe, but it's a legendary and nobody uses it. Nobody uses it. Put it in the comments. Oh, I use Demon Hunter. It works. Well, no, you don't. Stop it. You're a bot. Okay. It's not real. I think no discussion necessary, but if you want to input, I mean, I'd love to hear your slander as well.
Look, if it's actually lower than Archer and Thrower, that's impressive. But because it is a legendary and I'm not sure, that's bad enough. It needs to be a Z. Z plus plus.
Z so plus
bad.
Plus. All right.
Demon Hunter.
Feels good. Sit down there. Think about what you've done. And maybe, I mean, talents. What the heck are you going to do with the card for talents, man? It's if you played it in PvP right now and you got it to a max Demon Hunter, you would lose in 0.5 seconds because its attack speed is what? Let me look. His attack speed is 1 every 1.2 seconds. Is that right? That's probably not even right. It's so bad. It's not even funny. Okay. On to the next one.
I was about to say, I have an idea. Let's move on.
Oh, do you have an idea? Yeah. Please.
My idea. Let's move on because Demon Hunter is making me sad that it even exists.
Never even realized that Demon Hunter was next to Demonologist. Now, Demonologist, that brings my spirits right back up. Okay.
Sure
Demonologist is near and dear to my heart. It's getting talents in the next update. Very, very excited to see what those talents are.
Ooh.
But it's a card that I feel like a lot of people don't necessarily use. Maybe they use it in support. You don't really see it in the ladder all that much, but it works and I like it and it's fun to use. So it's definitely in the mix. I'd be interested to see what your thoughts are with Demonologist.
What I love about the fact that we did the commons and the rares and the epics first is that I'm able to look and compare and find a spot for it. And, you know, at first I started at B because it's just super useful. It's like the mime, right? Like you can use it, but I don't think it's as useful as mime because you can only really use it in co-op, right? I mean, if you use it in PvP, okay, they get an extra, but if
you can make it happen, but you're not going to see it often.
Right. And if somebody's rocking something like Cultist or Blade Dancer, that extra little monster it spawns ain't gonna do nothing. So it's only really useful in co-op.
Yep.
So it brings
almost like a gimmick in PvP.
Yeah. So it almost brings me down to like a C.
I agree. I agree. Although it hurts.
But it's not as bad as D. So yeah, I think C. It's a solid C.
I like it.
Although
Dryad. I feel like this is the card that people should have an abundance of, but this is the number one card I see in the comments of people saying, I don't have Dryad. What can I replace it with? And I go, not much. Priestess, that's just sad. Vampire, sad. It's so important.
Yeah.
So versatile, so good. I mean, it's gotta be S. It's gotta be S.
It's minimum S. It might even try to be an S plus. And here's why.
Yeah.
The only comparable for Dryad would be like a Scrapper.
Yep.
And Scrapper requires 4 spawns to do its thing. But Dryad is just itself. It's just like, hey, let me double your speed or your attack speed or whatever. It's just the best. I love Dryad, and I didn't have it for a long time. And as soon as I got it, I was flying high. It was amazing. Yep. So I mean, I would almost want to argue that Dryad belongs with Cultist in S plus.
Wow. I mean, it changes the game, is what it is. It makes everything so much easier. It changes your play style completely. And that's a card that if you have any deck and you don't know what else to throw in there and you have Dryad, you throw it in there and your deck is instantly better. Let's put it up in S plus. I'm okay with it. It's better than Blade Dancer.
Let's tentatively do that because there's one card coming up that might change your mind on it, I think. Well, S plus, it might work.
Is there a limit to how many S pluses we are allowed? That's the question.
I would have said 1, but
yeah, I guess that's fair. All right. So, well, why don't we do them together? Because they're so similar, kind of like we did. I think it was Ivy and
Plague Doctor or
something. Harlequin Dryad, if anybody didn't pick up on that. Harlequin Dryad.
Yep.
If I give you 3 seconds to answer this question, which is better?
Harley Quinn.
Okay. All right. I don't know.
And hold on. So
all right.
Harley Quinn can be lived without. It just is terrible. Right? It's terrible to live without Harley Quinn. Sometimes. But its copies do less damage. I'm looking at it right now. It's 35% damage reduction if you haven't upgraded your Harley Quinn, which I haven't. So you're dealing with you have to have Portal Keeper with it, right? So that you can get rid of that debuff. So it's kind of like a belt. If you set up your deck right, Harley Quinn is definitely like the best thing ever. S plus plus. Dryad though, okay, Harley Quinn is useful for the entire game. Like as you're playing, you're looking for those Dryads. Harley Quinn is useful for the setup. But then wait, it can copy and become Dryads. They can copy and become Shamans. So it's amazing. So if between Harley Quinn and Dryad, Harley Quinn would be the S plus.
I would be rather okay with putting them below Cultist, but both in S plus.
I thought Cultist was S plus.
Below Cultist.
Oh, but still in S plus. Okay. I would be okay with that too. I would also be okay with leaving Harley Quinn in S plus and putting Dryad in S.
Wow. They're so similar, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I hear you. I just feel like with Dryad, it's better on its own than Harlequin. Harlequin needs something else, but they're both just so top tier, and they're both better than Blade Dancer.
Yeah. Let's just leave them there.
Let's have, it's Cultist forefront, Harlequin Dryad, S plus.
Agreed.
Okay.
Bam.
Sweating. I'm sweating after that.
That was a hard one.
All right, let's go back to an easy one here. Frost. Woo. All right.
Is Frost easier?
Yeah, I mean, I hope so. It's just going to be in the mix, right? I mean, Frost, it's a good legendary, good slow. Do you see it in a lot of decks? Not really. Is it as good? If I'm looking at this board, it's not an A. It's either a B or a C, right? I mean, Boreas versus Frost, similar. Frost versus Mime, Mime probably a little bit better. I could see it as a B. What do you think?
How do you compare? You put this really well in the first video, but that was a long time ago, and I don't remember how you put it. How does Frost compare to Cold Mage?
So this is always how I explain it. Frost versus Cold Mage. Cold Mage is better against bosses. Frost is better against waves because Cold Mage triggers immediately. It'll target that frontmost monster. If you have a bunch of Cold Mages or they're leveled up pretty good, it'll freeze your whole board, but it takes some time. So when bosses come, Cold Mage freezes that front boss right away, and then you can take it out easier. Frost, it only triggers periodically. So you only need like one Frost on your board. Doesn't even need to be really leveled up all that often. And it will freeze everybody on your board, but just randomly will it do so. When a boss comes, it might not trigger at all or fast enough for it to affect that boss at all. So if you compare the two, they're one and the same, but they're kind of opposites in what they're good at. But I think they're both just so similar. It would probably make sense to put them in the same boat. I don't really see one over the other. So with that regard, maybe you asking me that question, maybe it fits better in C than it does in B.
Let me make a quick case for B. So,
okay.
So Cold Mage has to be talented to be good. Frost doesn't.
It's a controversial statement.
It was sort of a question.
Oh. No, I don't think so. I don't think it does. I don't think the talents on Cold Mage make all that much of a difference.
Okay. Well, then that means they should be in the same category.
I'm in. Let's do it.
C. C for cold.
C for Frost.
Bro, I can't wait to hear you talk about this one.
I can wait.
You want me to talk about it?
Inquisitor. We're going to talk about it.
Okay.
Inquisitor. Man, it could have been Inquisitor Royale for a long time. Okay. Inquisitor just is been at the top of the list for so very long. Absolutely love the card. It's a little bit weak right now. It's kind of in an awkward spot. Mine's a level 12. So I think I see more success with Inquisitor than a lot of other people do. But right now, I can win on the ladder with Inquisitor with a very specific deck. I can win dungeons by myself with Inquisitor with a very specific deck. If I had to put it somewhere, I mean, it can't be any lower than A. What do you think?
I agree with that. Can't be lower than A. But look at who you're comparing that with. Corsair and Portal Keeper.
Yeah.
Chemist, Bombardier.
Yeah.
It's the only real damage dealer in that group, so it's kind of hard to compare. So if you look back, yes, it is better than Boreas.
Definitely.
It's not better than Blade Dancer. I think that's a pretty safe thing to say.
I think they're comparable.
Could they be the same?
They could
it be the same?
They could be.
Because Blade Dancer, I think Blade Dancer is honestly like the easiest damage dealer to use because you just need one. Don't let another one be near it, right? Whereas even Cultist has the weakness of you have to have the plus or you're in big trouble.
Yeah.
Right?
True.
So, so in that way, Blade Dancer is better. Inquisitor is awesome because you get one. Yeah, you just get one and it rocks and rolls, and then you can spam a bunch of things and make sure you have at least 4, and then you're even better. So with that type of logic, I mean, I would say Inquisitor and Blade Dancer should be in the same category.
All right, let's throw it in there. I'm okay with it. I mean, I think it is just more important to have an Inquisitor in your deck than maybe a Chemist or Bombardier. You can win games with having just Inquisitor in your deck. You can't win games without something like an Inquisitor while you're running Bombardier and Chemist. I think that's a good way to differentiate it. Those are support, kind of like Corsair. You need other things with Corsair. You need it to be a high level.
Yeah.
But if it's a level 7 Inquisitor and you're at low level trophies, you can win with a level 7 Inquisitor. That's a controversial statement, but yeah, I think so. All right, let's throw it in here.
There we go.
All right, the next one we're going to be jumping in on is Hex. Okay, Hex is another very, very interesting unit. Another one near and dear to my heart. Very, very cool card. The only card that does anything similar to it is, Reaper, basically, or like Necromancer if you have Necromancer, but oh my golly goodness. Hex, it can work at lower level trophies as long as you have something that has a high fire rate. Wind Archer, Bruiser, Boreas, Hunter, somewhat. So it's got to be pretty high up there, man. I mean, if I'm looking at my board, if I'm looking at our list here, it's got to be, I don't know. You know what? It's got to be B, right? I mean, I'm looking at like B. It's not Chemist Bombardier. It's not Portal Keeper level, but it's right up there. Definitely has some application in the latter. You can do without it. What do you think?
I definitely agree with B, 100%. I'm all in on that. I have a short story actually. Whenever I first started, there was a we had this again lately where the night, what is it called? The Dark Domain got random levels up, and I had just gotten Hex for my first time, and I mixed it with Crystalmancer and my Crystalmancer IV deck. I don't even remember what else was in that. I think Frost was in that, and I went so high with that. It was nuts. It was insane, especially because I just started. So I was probably at like 1,000 trophies or something like that when I started it. But by the end of that week, I was in a good place, and I've been, really high since. So it's awesome. I love Hex. I've near and dear to my heart. I don't use it as much as I probably should, but I think that in comparison to things like the Executioner or like Mime or like Boreas, it fits in that category. It's better than Frost or Demo or Bruiser, but I don't think it fits in the category of Corsair, Portal Keeper, Chemist.
I think so. I think you're right, 100%. And along with the buildings, we got 3 buildings in a row. Actually, if you guys are following around, you can see what's next. Night Statue, which is very similar to Hex in a bunch of different ways. It's a building. It improves a lot of decks, and both actually got nerfed recently. So they both were better, which maybe would have put them in the A category. But now they both got nerfed. I mean, I think it's better than Hex. But how much better than Hex? That's the question.
It's essential for like your Blade Dancer deck.
It is.
It's essential. You could say it's essential for your Inquisitor deck as well.
I think it is. At this point, I think it is. I don't think I could run an Inquisitor deck without a Night Statue in there.
And if it didn't require an even number, I would say S. But it can be thrown off, and it's so easy to do that I don't think it deserves S. I think it's got that blatant weakness that screws it up. So I would say probably where you're leaning, a step above Hex.
Yep. I think A makes sense. Yep. I agree. What is this? Night Statue? Yep. I think that's it, man. We are coming to the end of this list, man. I mean, if you guys have watched all of these videos, power to you, and thank you for being here. But you could probably tell we're doing this all in one stretch. So we've been chilling and talking and debating for 3 hours now?
We started, wow, you're right. 3 hours?
I told you, I tried to block off a thing at time, man. I told you.
Bro, I didn't realize it's been that long. My brain hurts.
Clock of Power. Okay.
Clock of
Another
Power.
one that's very interesting because at a high level, it can be very, very good. It helps in dungeons. It helps in PvP. It can be very difficult to play against. Do you see it as much as Hex? I think this is another good way to go about it. Is it at that Hex level all throughout the meta? I think you can see Hex at 2,000 trophies. I think you can see it at 7,000 trophies. Maybe you can't even get Hex at 2,000 trophies, but you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Do you see Clock all throughout as well? Not really.
No, you don't see it. What you do see is in some co-ops, and if I'm watching the chat, you have a couple guys doing co-ops. Every once in a while, you'll hear them talking through what deck to use for support. Rarely do I see them request they put Clock of Power in their deck. In fact, normally it's remove Clock of Power and put in something else. That tends to be, at least my experience, limited experience, but my experience. So I would say it's either equal to or lower than Hex, definitely not above. And I would argue it's similar to like Demonologist.
It is. I agree with most everything that you're saying. You're stuck between B and C. It sounds like you're leaning a little bit more C. I think I would lean a little bit more towards B, simply because at a higher level, Clock of Power can be so overpowered.
Mm.
If you're going up against a robot Clock of Power deck, it can be more detrimental to your game than Shaman is. To where Demonologist is never going to have that effect on your game.
Right.
Do we really think that Clock is in the same breath as Sharpshooter and Gargoyle?
No, we don't. And it's definitely better than Bruiser.
It's definitely better than Bruiser. I think I would feel okay putting it in B. And for those of you who are a higher level, you guys are probably screaming at us thinking that it's even higher than B. But realistically, that's the only time that you're going to see Clock. You're only seeing it at the top of the ladder. So it's hard to put it anywhere higher just because you never really see it. Where, Executioner, Mime, Boreas, Hex are everywhere, all throughout the ladder. And Clock is only at the top tier, but it is so strong in dungeons as well as in PvP. So I think B is fair.
Well, it's similar to the logic we used with Corsair, right? Corsair is amazing. Yep. It's in the best deck there is, but it's only there. So, you really can't put a card like that as an S plus because very few people are actually going to use it in any kind of way. Right. So I think that Clock of Power in the B category is good. I can see somebody make an argument for putting it in A.
Yep, I can see it.
But my leaning is B.
I agree. I completely agree with that. And that's why this is so difficult, because there's arguments that can be made, And I mean, when we're talking about some of these other cards, I'm looking back down at like Fire Mage, Lightning Mage. Maybe you guys just started and that's like the best card that you guys, you go up against a Fire Mage and you're hitting your desk because you're like, dang it, I'm going to lose. We got to try and take that into consideration with also when you're at 9,000 trophies.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a very difficult thing to do. And it's not getting any easier here. We're going now Meteor, another one that at a high level can be very, very effective. At a low level, it can be very, very useless. So I'm going to kind of follow the same train of thought, but I want to hear your thoughts. Have you had any experience with Meteor?
I have very limited use of Meteor. I have a lot more experience of beating Meteor. So at least in my experience, 5,000, 6,000, I think I'm at 6,300 right now. If I see Meteor, I almost always go, hey, I'm gonna win this one. And I don't always win it, but I do a lot.
For me, it's almost the other way around, where if I see a Meteor, typically it's high level, and I don't know how I'm gonna do. It's kind of like, oh, this guy's running Meteor, like it must be good,
Right.
But with that being said, I think I like how we're doing this and comparing. And overall, It's not in the meta as much as Mime.
Right.
Glorious Hex. I would say it would fit in C and kind of have that same ideal as at a high level, it's really good. You don't really see it anywhere else. And there's no use for it in dungeons.
Right.
So
right.
I would say C.
I would agree. I mean, if you look at what's in D, you get like Vampire and Reaper and Ivy. I mean, you're really getting into unless you're in 2,300 lower levels, you're never going to see those things, right? So,
right.
But in C, it's kind of like a good mix of the two. And then once you get up into B, it's like, yeah, those are always useful and everybody loves them. And so I think Meteor kind of fits in. I honestly, my knee-jerk reaction to Meteor before you started talking was even lower than C. But that's
yeah. As you were talking, that's kind of what I was thinking too. If I'm looking, I mean, Crystalmancer just as a card is better than Meteor.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, maybe we drop it to D. I mean, I put it in C. It's probably okay. If we're fighting over C and D, I don't think it matters all that much.
True. It is a legendary. It does do a crazy amount of merge damage. So I can still say, let's keep it in C and I'll be happy with it.
Such a strange card. All right. It's in C. We're going to keep it there for now. Tentatively. Gargoyle. Not Gargoyle. Minotaur. I got Gargoyle on the brain. Minotaur. Guys, Minotaur. I'm sure most of you don't have him. If you do have him, you don't play him. He came out in one of the new events. I threw my credit card at it, got mine to level 8. He stinks. He stinks. He stinks.
Ew.
I think if you, it has talents already, which we didn't even talk about the Meteor talents, but whatever. If you get it to level 9, it's okay. Maybe. Get to a level 11, maybe. Does anybody have a max Minotaur? Realistically, does anyone have a max Minotaur? And if you do, does it work or does it not? I mean, I think when you take everything into consideration, it doesn't work at low levels. You can't get him without paying, I don't think, unless you, I don't know, grind out every single event and finally get him in a few months. And even if you do get him, you got to get him to a high level, which nobody's going to do except for like the 1% in this game. And because I'm just kind of mad at him for being bad, I would put him in Z.
I mean, okay, look, you're right. You're right. If Demon Hunter belongs in Z and he's totally worthless, then Minotaur should be in ZZ because Minotaur is paid and is so bad, right?
I'm in. I'm all in.
If you compare Minotaur to like Lightning Mage, Minotaur is better than Lightning Mage. But
I don't know.
But we don't know. I have never seen Minotaur in PvP.
I've played him. I've lost every time. Z. I mean, I can put him in Z minus. I
think Z's plenty. Z's pretty pathetic.
He knows what he did.
Yeah, he's a loser.
Poor guy. Someday he'll be decent. It's just not today and it's not tomorrow.
No. Nope. Bye, Minotaur. Bye, Felicia.
Moving on to Robot. Gosh, every legendary is such a battle, dude.
Yeah. Such
a battle. I mean, when I look at Robot, I want to just go in right away and just say it's good. Okay. Robot also had a time in our lifespan that it was Robot Royale. When it first came out, it was just bonkers how good it was. Mine's only level 7. I can still find wins with a level 7. It's not as strong as Blade Dancer Inquis. I'd be okay with putting it at A.
So
what do you think?
I was going to say, like, in theory, Robot should be the best. In my opinion, it should be the best because Robot can kind of hang on its own. It's not like it doesn't have to have a specific geography, which I really like.
Right.
Just like all the other ones that don't have to have a specific geography, like Bruiser or Cole or what is it?
Boreas.
Yeah, Boreas. So like those, they in theory are great cards, but you have to look at them as a whole. And as a whole, I beat Robot all the time with Cultist.
Yep.
And
oh yeah, definitely.
I mean, my Blade Dancer is on level 8, so I haven't really played with her much, but I just don't see Robot as a big threat. If I see Robot, I kind of think of it the similarly with Blade Dancer. I look at it and I'm like, I can beat them both pretty consistently, so it's okay. So I'd be fine with putting it with the Blade Dancer level of S or A. Either one I'd be okay with, I think.
Okay. I mean, I know Robot Clock is a very good deck, and that's a scary deck. And if you go up against that at a high level, you have a really hard time beating that. I could kind of be good with either. It's gotten hit with nerf after nerf after nerf. So I think at this point, Inquis and Blade Dancer is just a little bit better. I think I'm putting that at A if I had to choose.
You got it.
All righty.
It makes me sad.
And I know it used to be so good. I can't believe mine's only level 7. Get that guy up. What's going on? On to Scrapper, everybody's little pudgy buddy.
Oh man, I love Scrapper.
Scrapper is so fun to play. He also got a massive nerf. I feel like everybody's gotten nerfed recently. Because you used to only need to eat 3 units to level somebody up. Now you have to eat 4, which is a pretty big nerf, but is still very, very good. And I want to hear your thoughts. You did a nice big sigh on Scrapper. It's near and dear to your heart. Let me hear it.
Scrapper changed my life. Like when I finally got Scrapper, I was able to move into these really cool metas. So it's clearly not like a C, right? We know that. It's obvious. But that was a nostalgic sigh, right? When I heard about Scrapper, because I don't use him anymore.
Okay.
Ever. Reason being, I don't need him. I can dryad my stuff up pretty much consistently to level 4 or 5. Like if you're talking about the middle 3 of your Cultist, for instance, they're always 4 or 5. That's where I usually can get them with just simply using 100%. Dryads. So Scrapper is awesome if you don't have Dryad.
Yep.
Or if you just get bored with Dryad, you want to try something else, Scrapper. But it may have been way closer to, because I've seen people using Scrapper still with Blade Dancer and everything. And again, I beat Blade Dancer a lot, so I just don't see Scrapper as elite anymore. I would have probably thought that when we first started, but not anymore. So I would lean in the A direction again.
Okay.
Potentially B, but you can make an argument for S. I mean, you can make an argument in any of those 3 depending on your perspective. I'd like to hear yours.
I was gonna argue a little bit higher than that. My Scrapper is still in a number of my decks, and it's only level 8. So it's one of those cards that you don't need to level it up at all to make it good. And it being a legendary, that's very, very useful, right? We talked about how bad Minotaur was and how it's only going to be good at level 15. I'm never going to have a level 15 Minotaur. If I had a level 7 Scrapper, it's still very, very good. It's in the best Blade Dancer deck. I would argue it's in the best Cultist deck right now, where they take out Harley Quinn and put in Scrapper. It's definitely in the best Inquisitor deck. And it's a card that, again, changes your entire play style to where you're able to play in a different way. Inquisitor, before Scrapper came out, you would only be able to put units down on your board with Inquisitor periodically. You'd get one on your board and you build up mana to 20,000, 25,000. Or no, sorry, 2,000, 3,000, whatever. And then you'd spam to get 4, and then you'd have to wait again. Wait. And then you'd get another 5,000 mana, and then you'd try to go for a higher ranking 4, or you'd go for 7. With Scrapper, you can just play broke. You get another Inquis, you don't want an Inquis, gone. Now I've got the right amount of Inquises.
That's true.
So I think in that regard, it's such an important card and play in such a different play style. I would feel good playing it, putting it in S, even though it got nerfed. Before it got nerfed, it was probably the best card in the game because everybody was just max all the time.
Yeah. Man, that was a really good argument. I really appreciate that. You're right. I forgot.
4.
There's no other card that can just eat a card. right? There's no other card that can just eat it without there being that possibility that you're going to get the same stupid card again and then you're screwed. So Scrapper is unique in that way, similar to how Portal Keeper is unique in its own way too, which does bump it up. I would say it's easily, I would still be okay with putting it in the A category, but I'm also comfortable with S if you want to put it there, because I wasn't considering the Inquisitor deck as much either.
I think I'm going to put it in S. Just because I think it affects the game more than some of those A cards. Chemist and Bombardier, you can make an argument. Portal Keeper, I think Scrapper's better than Portal Keeper. I think it's better than Night Statue. I definitely think it's better than Robot. It's kind of like that Dryad argument where you put in Scrapper into any deck and it's instantly better.
Right.
Which a lot of these cards, maybe that is the case, but it really does open up a whole different play style and makes these decks better. So I'm going to put it at S. We'll have it tentative.
Sure. No, I think we could put it as a solid S, because you're right. That changes the way the whole game looks, and that's important. Like I said, that's how I started the whole thing, was when I got Scrapper, my whole world changed. And I don't say that about every card. That's only about like 2 or 3 of them, and they're always in S's.
I agree. I think that's fair. And now we're back down to Stasis. Stasis, another one of those cards that used to be all over the place. Stasis, Inquisitor was the deck for a long time. Very, very strong. Pausing. It was the king of double slow, stun, pause, long Royale. Okay. You don't see him so much anymore. And I'll just make a very simple case. I don't think he differentiates himself enough away from Cold or Frost. I think he's probably in that mix right there in C.
I agree. I have C Hubbard. So we have one that's easy. Yay.
I love that when that happens.
Oh, that was easy. Perfect.
Do you have Tesla?
No.
Okay. So he's grayed out for me too. So we'll do him last.
Okay.
On to Summoner. Very interesting card. Okay. Summoner for a long time was one of the best cards. It's kind of fallen out of favor now. You were talking about it a little bit before about Summoner being in a support deck, and I was letting you go. But if I see people with Summoner in a support deck now, I cringe a little. Because what does Summoner do? You have Summoner in there to level up your cards. To where in a support deck, you don't want your cards leveled up. You want to keep them low. So Harley Quinn Mime something is usually better than Summoner in there. And like Scrapper is totally taken over Summoner's spot. Still great. Don't get me wrong. But how many decks do you see out there with Summoner now? Shaman Spam, Robot, Executioner Corsair. It's kind of it. Still a fantastic card, but it's so much less valuable now that Scrapper came out. So it kind of takes a hit there in the value. I mean, what do you think?
I think you mentioned,
Make the case.
Well, I don't have a great case for this because I don't use them a lot, but I like it when support has it, because they're just going crazy. They're going ham. They have cards for days. Like it's fun to watch, and that makes the support more fun to play as a support player. And you mentioned that, dude, he's in the Corsair Executioner deck, the best deck in the game right now. So that's a good thing. That's awesome. That means that he's up there. I mean, I think that'll push him up pretty high. But I don't think that puts him above Scrapper by any means. I'm thinking A or B.
Same page. I think I talked a lot of smack about him, but in reality, he's better than Executioner. He's better than Mime. He's definitely just more versatile than Clock. I think an A is a fitting spot for him.
I agree. I like him. I don't know.
Before weird. Scrapper came out, he might have been an S tier, because he was in every deck beforehand. He was in every Inquisitor deck. every cultist deck, Corsair, Robot. He was in every Shaman, every deck. But then Scrapper came out and you were like, wait a minute, I don't have to risk getting weird cards every time. I can just keep on leveling them up and being safe. Makes it easier.
Mm-hmm.
On to the old pretzel thrower, Trapper. My dude. Oh, man. Whenever I'm trying to make a deck, Trapper somehow always comes to the surface. Whether I'm on stream and people are like, "Oh, throw Trapper in there. He never makes the deck better, but he makes me feel better about trying him in the deck and maybe finding a win." Do you have any experience with Trapper?
I have experience beating Trapper. I don't have experience using Trapper.
That's experience.
So yeah, I mean, if you're making the argument that you wish he was better, I would agree with you wholeheartedly.
Yep. Yeah.
So the argument is, how low is he on the tier list? Is my question. Because does he have a place? He doesn't have a place in meta.
No.
At all. Like, are there better slow cards? Yeah, absolutely. So he's at the highest a D.
Yeah. Yep. Is he better than Crystal, Zealot, Cauldron? That kind of looks fitting. It looks kind of fitting. He's not better. No. D could be okay. E could be okay. I mean,
yeah, because I think Zealot or Crystalmancer have a way more use than Trapper does.
Definitely.
So, I mean, looking at where E is kind of where all the cards that you can tolerate and they're okay, but they're not great. That's what E is, and I think that Trapper fits that description perfectly. And if you were to say, "Hey, let's put him in F," I would probably be like, "That's a little harsh,"
Yeah.
A little harsh. Yeah. At least he does slow stuff.
I think E's fitting. I think you're right. I think E is fitting. I'm going to throw him there right behind Wind Archer.
I feel kind of dirty, but again, it's like, you have to look at the other cards in that category and say, is he better? And he's not better or similar to. He's not. I mean, he doesn't compare. Sorry.
He's a legendary, and he's most similar to Alchemist. And they do kind of different things. Alchemist's a little bit more damage oriented. Trapper's a little bit more support oriented, but they kind of do the same thing. I think Alchemist is better. I mean, it does slow and it does damage. Trapper does damage, not damage, does slow and does de-shielding like the Chemist.
Mm-hmm.
The final two, nearly there. Okay, I think we've spoken slower and slower as this video has gone on.
I think so too.
We're on to Shaman. So we're going to put it at Z minus, plus, minus. Because it's just the trashiest card. No, it's good. It's good. Let's talk about dungeons first. So important in dungeons. You couldn't beat dungeons with many, many decks unless you have Shaman in there. In PvP, it's always been good. It's always been a pain to play against. It's got to be up there. What are your thoughts? You play against Shaman a good amount?
Oh, yeah. So Shaman is the S plus of co-op, right? It's the S plus of co-op, but it's not the S plus of PvP. You're going to see people winning in PvP all the time without Shaman. I just don't like playing against it. But if you put yourself, I know this is going to be hard for you. Do me a favor and try. Imagine that you're using Shaman, okay? I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said that. But think about it. Just consider it.
Okay.
You're using Shaman. You merge two of them together. You get a level above of something else that you wanted, and then you take out one of their levels.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's a pretty beastie card.
It's the king of the deal. It's a buy one, get one, and you get to hit somebody while you do it. I mean, yeah. There could be a case to have Shaman at S plus. I think realistically it's at S. I think that's fair.
If you look at the other cards there, I mean, you have Inquisitor, who's a really good damage dealer, but not perfect. You have Scrapper, the really good control card, you know, controlling what you're doing, but not perfect. You got Blade Dancer, same place as Inquisitor. I think that Shaman fits that category really well because you can live without it, but man, is it it's useful, extremely useful.
I think one thing to note too is that it's still in the meta and it's still prevalent all over the place. And the meta right now is very Portal Keeper oriented, which is a direct counter to Shaman.
Mm-hmm.
You know, anytime I go up against the Shaman deck, it's still a battle. And I've got Portal Keeper and I'm moving them with my cultists and I'm moving them around and like they still get me sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and no matter how much hate it gets, I was going to say you have to respect the guy. You don't have to respect the guy, but you got to understand that it is a good card. The reason you hate it is because it is a good card.
I think honestly, as you kept talking, I was thinking, dang, it should be an S plus. It really should. But because it's a cheeky card, and I won't even say good game to people that play it.
Yeah,
I don't want. I just can't put it in S plus.
I'm going to put him in S plus, and I'm going to give it a little frowny face.
He's being demoted based on morale. Okay, he's S. That's what I'm gonna say.
He wasn't
he's an S.
so much of a. He'd be higher. You know, just be nice to your peers, and then maybe you'll get more respect.
Right. Exactly.
And we have finally made it to our last card. Put down in the comments if you guys are still here and enjoying. Make sure that you guys have liked the video. Subscribe to both our channels. Put down right now timestamp and where you think we're going to put our final card. Tesla, where does it belong? We want you guys to be as interactive as possible, even though we're making this a week prior to it actually being posted. Tesla, kind of hard to put him in a spot. I don't have him. You don't have him. I've played against him a good amount. I've beaten dungeons with someone running him. I've beaten him on the ladder. I've lost to him on the ladder. What are your thoughts? We're not experts in this situation here, so it's outside looking in.
Yeah, and Tesla's another one of those. It's probably the best standalone DPS dealer. Like, you know, as far as I know, you don't have to have a specific orientation, so it's great. But when I
do, but I don't know what it is.
Yeah, so I don't know either. I just it says
it is complicated.
Receives charges when units and adjacent tiles are merged or increased rank.
Yeah. So you have like the merge rank mixed with like the number of charge, or I'm not going to pretend to understand.
Yeah. So I can imagine like a Tesla summoner combination would be kind of cool. And then you're right. So you do have to have a specific orientation for it to work. And again, it kind of falls in the same category in my mind as the robot, where whenever I find it, it's usually not really much of a battle. I win every time. Yep. I like it. I think it's a cool card, but it doesn't challenge me much. And because it does need to have a particular orientation, I kind of don't think it even belongs in the same category as robot. Like I'm hating on it a little bit to the point to where it's in the B category. Is that wrong?
Man, I don't know if it's wrong. Again, we're outside looking in. Okay. A high level Tesla is so very, very strong. I think if you go max Tesla versus max robot, Tesla's coming out on top. I think that's important to make that distinction, but it's so very similar. You again, you can't get it unless you win well, you do well in events. It has talents, but again, at a low level, you're not going to really do anything. It's going to be hard to get the talents up there. I think it's so similar to robot. I would just kind of throw it in there, right? Just like that. In B, it just seems a little disrespectful. And I think someone would come at us if we put it in B and be like, Tesla, I lose the Tesla every time and yada, you know. I think A is fair. It definitely doesn't belong higher than A. We really couldn't tell you, right? So I'm gonna throw it in A here and call it a day.
That is a day. That is, in fact, a day. So we can kind of glean from this document here and this tier list that the ultimate deck would be something like Cultist with Dryad and Harley Quinn, because those are your 3 S pluses. And then let's just throw in Scrapper and Shaman. And there you go. Exactly. You probably have theoretically the best deck in the game
You do a combination of those couple of cards, you've got yourself a pretty deck. I mean, realistically, looking at S plus, S, and A, you can almost make every single best deck in the game.
Yeah.
Which I think bodes well for our list making skills.
Yeah, I'd say we did a good job. And then, guys, if you're looking for a challenge, you get a deck. You throw Demon Hunter and Minotaur and Portal Mage and Thrower and Archer. Was that 5 or 6? I don't know. You throw those in
5,
there.
Yep.
If anybody wins with those 5, then yes,
you'll win the prize.
Yeah, you win for sure.
Of a congrats from us to you. But guys, okay, that's going to be wrapping it up. Did you want to tell them about the part 5, or what are our thoughts on that? I mean,
we kicked around doing a video about the heroes, but I don't know. Like you kind of said, like I don't know if you can do that. Like, how does that work?
There's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 heroes. 2 of which I don't have. I'm sure 2 of which you don't have. So let us know in the comments if you guys would like to see another collab between the 2 of us. And let us know what you would want to see. If you want to see the heroes, we could definitely make a video like that. If you want to do something else, I don't know, talking about equipment or something, I have no idea what else we could do. Let us know in the comments there. But guys, I hope you enjoyed this very long-winded tier list. Make sure you see all 4 parts, 2 of which are on his channel, 2 of which are on my channel. Very, very excited. I also kicked around the idea of just putting all the parts together and putting that out for one beefy 2.5-hour video, so you guys don't have to go back and forth. So let me know if you guys would be interested in that. But if you guys did stay around and watch all 4 parts, let us know in the comments, because power to you. And we love you very much. But guys, that's going to be the end of this YouTube video. Thank you so much, Klaus, for hanging out. That was an absolute blast. Do you want to have anything to say before I end all?
Dude, thank you for having me on the channel. And the idea was solid. Thanks for coming to me with it. I felt blessed and honored that you hit me up with this. And I just had a great time filming. So I'm hoping it's as much fun to watch. So for those of you who are watching on his channel, thank you for tuning in. And if you do check out my channel, I appreciate that. Link for all the links are in all of the descriptions on all the channels and all the videos. We're just collabing. It's awesome.
I love it. This was super fun. Thank you so much, man. I hope we do something like this very, very soon. But if you guys enjoyed, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. My channel and his channel. And I'll check you guys out in tomorrow's video.